After racing in the NASCAR Winter Heat Series in the mid-1990s, former racer and announcer Benny Parsons recommended Greg Biffle to Jack Roush. And with that call, the NASCAR world came to know the Biff. With Roush Racing, he claimed the 1998 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Rookie of the Year and followed that up with a stellar 1999 season in which he recorded 9 wins. In 2000, Biffle won the Truck Series title with another 5-win season.
Greg Biffle has officially clinched the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Championship. Jack Roush, his first ever NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Championship, his first ever NASCAR Championship.
Biffle joined the Xfinity Series full-time in 2001 and won the Rookie of the Year award with 5 wins and finished 4th in the final standings. In 2002, he won another 4 races and earned 20 top 5 finishes en route to his first Xfinity Series title and his second NASCAR National Championship.
And look at Biffle. Oh, that's right. He's the champ.
Biffle began competing full-time in NASCAR's Cup Series in 2003. That season, he earned his first win in the Pepsi 400 at Daytona and finished second to Jamie McMurray for Rookie of the Year. In 2004, Biffle earned the pole for the Daytona 500 and won twice at Michigan and Homestead. 2005 was Biffle's breakout season, winning 6 races, the most of any driver that year.
Greg Biffle's going to lead 219 laps. Greg Biffle wins in Texas.
He finished second in the final standings, 35 points behind champion Tony Stewart.
Greg Biffle in a Ford celebrates his victory in the Ford 400.
In 2013 at Michigan, Biffle won his 4th race at the track and the 1,000th victory for Ford. It was his 19th and final career win in the Cup Series. Greg Biffle is one of only 3 drivers to win both Xfinity Series and Craftsman Truck Series championships and has earned 56 wins across NASCAR's top 3 series. In 2023, Biffle was named one of NASCAR's 75 greatest drivers, an honor well-deserved for one of the sport's most versatile drivers.
As you just saw, today we lost a NASCAR legend, Greg Biffle, along with his wife and his 2 children in a horrific plane crash on takeoff. We'll discuss more of that coming up tonight. But first, you had many places you could be tonight. You chose to be here with me. And for that, I'm forever grateful. I thank you very, very much. Whether you're watching us tonight on the YouTube channel, the Rumble channel, the X channel, please like, subscribe, share it with your family and friends, let them know about the show. That's how we continue to push forward with this mission to shed the truth on what is happening in this country and across the globe. We will have the show next Tuesday. And then, of course, obviously, we'll be off for Christmas and be back the following week. So I hope you will join us next Tuesday for a little Christmas special. And also would like to start off by saying I was a few minutes late tonight. Shout out to Robert Allen. I'm very, very sorry, Robert. You are correct. I was fighting Patches over a ham sandwich. Patches won. He is currently eating my ham sandwich, and that is horrible. Anyhow, yes, I do check the chat from time to time, Robert. Okay. Former NASCAR driver Greg Biffle, his wife, Christina, and their 2 children tragically died in a plane crash at North Carolina Airport this morning. Some of you may have seen the video of it. It's very horrific. All the news agencies covered it. Fox, MSNBC, CNN, ABC, CBS, all of them. There were lots of video, people with cameras in their vehicles and so forth that caught this plane taking off and crashing and burning, and it was very, very horrific. I chose not to show you the video. I chose to show you the things to remember about such a great legend. He was a wonderful father. He was a great NASCAR driver, a good husband, and he was a good, just an all-around good man who did a lot of wonderful things for those in need. He stepped forward and spent his own money helping with the victims of the flooding disaster from the hurricane that struck Florida and then went up and flooded out parts of North Carolina. He helped with the devastating fires in California and many, many other things. He helped bring food and cell phones and satellite devices into the different islands during hurricanes. The man was a wonderful humanitarian, and just what a tragedy. On board with his wife, his 2 children that he loved so much, and other family members and friends that were on board the aircraft as well. U.S. Representative Richard Hutchison confirmed that that's who was on board the aircraft. It was their private jet. This happened around 10:15 a.m. Spokesman from the airport stated the couple's 5-year-old son, Ride, and Biffle's 14-year-old daughter, Emma, who was shared with his ex-wife, Nicole, were also on board. Dennis Dutton, his son Jack, along with Craig Wadsworth, were also on board. The cause of the crash is yet to be revealed. NTSB is there now. Biffle, 55, owned the plane, according to WSOC. Eyewitnesses told the outlet that they saw the plane flying way too low before the huge explosion. The family was mourned by Hudson, who wrote via X, "I am devastated with the loss of Greg, Christina, and their children. My heart is with all who love them. They were friends who lived their lives focused on helping others." He added, described Biffle as a great NASCAR champion, extraordinary person, who will be remembered for his service to others as much for his fearlessness on the track of racing. Hudson also recalled when Biffle flew hundreds of rescue missions in western North Carolina after Hurricane Helene in September 2024, using his own personal helicopter. At the time, Biffle had assisted several impacted residents who were in dangerous remote conditions. Biffle's humanitarian act earned him the National Motorsports Press Association Mayor's Brothers Award, which recognizes those for their contribution to stock car racing, according to the Associated Press. The family also mourned by their extended family in a lengthy statement that read, "We're devastated by the loss of our loved ones. This tragedy has left all our family heartbroken beyond words. Greg and Christina were devoted parents whose lives centered around their young children, Ryder, and Greg's daughter, Emma, mother Nicole Launders. Emma was described as a wonderful human being with a kind soul who was loved by many people. Ryder was remembered as an active, curious, and definite, joyful child." May they rest in eternal peace with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Okay. Last night, you may have tuned in and watched President Trump give a very powerful address to our nation. In a powerful primetime address to the nation, President Donald J. Trump reflected on the transformative process achieved in just 11 months of being in office, turning the tide on inflation and cost, securing the border, and honoring our military with a special warrior dividend that he's going to be given to them shortly, while promising even greater prosperity, tax relief, and renewed respect for America in the years ahead. If you missed that address, here's the highlights. Over the past 11 months, we've brought more positive change to Washington, D.C. than any administration in American history. That is a fact. For the last 4 years, the United States was ruled by politicians who fought only for insiders, illegal aliens, career criminals, corporate lobbyists, prisoners, terrorists, and all of the above, foreign nations. Now you have a president who fights for the law-abiding, hardworking people of our country, the ones who make this nation run. Another fact. We inherited the worst border anywhere in the world, and we quickly turned it into the strongest border in the history of our country. In other words, in a few short months, we went from worst to best. And remember how Joe Biden said that he can't do anything to fix the border because Congress must act to allow him to do that? Congress didn't do shit. Trump did it. Trump secured the border. All it took was somebody that had the willpower to help save our nation. We're deporting criminals, restoring safety to our most dangerous cities. Drugs bought in by ocean, by sea are now down by 94%. We've broken the grip of the sinister, woke radicals in our schools. I've restored American strength, settled 8 wars in 10 months, destroyed the Iranian nuclear deal, and ended the war in Gaza. All a fact that the Democrats hate. We're bringing our economy back from the brink of ruin. Under the Biden administration, car prices rose 22%, and in many states, 30% or more. Gasoline rose 30% to 50%. Hotel rates rose 37%. Airfares rose 31%. And now, under our leadership, they're all coming down, and they're coming down fast. Another fact that the Democrats hate. I'm also proud to announce that more than 1,450,000 military service members will receive a special warrior dividend before Christmas in honor of our nation's founding in 1776. We're sending every soldier $1,776, and checks are already on the way. They will each get a check for $1,776 as a Christmas bonus. Next year, you'll also see the results of the largest tax cuts in American history. Many families will be saving between $11,000 and $20,000 a year, and next spring is projected to be the largest tax refund season of our lifetime. Another fact that the Democrats in Washington, D.C. hate. On day one, I declared a national emergency. Gasoline is now under $2.50 a gallon in most of the country. A fact. For the first time in 50 years, we're now seeing reverse migration, leaving more housing and more job opportunities for Americans. Another fact. Yearly cost of typical new mortgage increased by $15,000 under Democrat rule. In just 11 months, I've already gotten that annual cost down by $3,000. A fact. I've secured a record-breaking $18 trillion of investment into the United States, which means jobs, wages, increased growth, factories, openings, and far greater national security. Another fact that the Democrats can't stand. I've also taken on the giant healthcare companies that have gotten rich on billions of dollars of money that should have gone directly to the people so they can buy their own health insurance, which will give them far better benefits at much lower cost. I'm going to give them the money. Another fact that the Democrats can't stand. I'm doing what no politician of either party has ever done, standing up for the special interests to dramatically reduce the price of prescription drugs. And they are rapidly coming down as I speak. And after 11 months, our border is secure. Inflation has stopped. Wages are up. Prices are down. Our nation is strong. America is respected. And our country is back. We're poised for economic boom, the likes of which the world has never seen. Now, of course, the liberal Democrats of Congress claimed all of this is not true. They were quick to run into the microphones and the cameras after Trump's speech, because they're suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, which does not allow them to see the truth, nor understand facts, even when it's right in front of their faces. Everything Trump said last night was 100% correct. There was no spin. Simple facts that we, the people, can clearly see with our own eyes when we put gas in our vehicles, when we buy food for our families, when we buy clothing, medication, and so on. Except if you live in a blue state run by Democrats, you're not seeing the relief. That's a fact. You're seeing prices go up because that's what your Democrats running your state are doing to you by increasing taxes on everything. But in red states, we're enjoying what Donald Trump is doing for America. Yet the liberal Democrats know these facts. They know that Trump is making our country great again, but because it's Trump, because it's not a Democrat president, they refuse to speak the truth when they step in front of the cameras. The funniest part of their no-merit talking point to trash Trump's address to the nation was the economy part of the speech last night. So CNN brought on liberal Democrat anti-Trumper and Harvard University economist Ken Rogoff to fact-check Trump on what he said about the economy. And my friends, it backfired. Hell, let's listen to it, shall we?
I mean, I was surprised. It was a better number than anyone was expecting. Look, inflation's been very high. It's stayed high. It has not been coming down. But, you know, people were expecting it to be above 3%. It was well below 3%. I mean, I think the president will take this as good news. The investors will think that interest rates will get cut more. So, you know, it was a positive news. There's no other way to spin it.
No other way to spin it. Didn't work out too well for you, did it, CNN, when you thought that you were going to get him to say Trump lied. It wasn't true. So all you liberal Democrats out there can just soak up like a sponge what's coming out of your Democrat leadership and just keep on believing it. So when all the good things start happening for you, especially when, next year coming up real soon, in the next 6 months, we're all going to get a check in the mail for several $1,000s as part of the tariffs that Trump brought back to America. Please, don't spend that check. Return it to sender. Because, Trump's tariffs were going to destroy us, right? Trump's tariffs are horrible for our economy, right? You believed all the crap that was spewed from the Democrat leadership up in Washington, D.C. So when good things start happening to you, just turn it away. When you go to Walmart and buy food for your family, go ahead and buy a second of just put 2 of everything in your cart and separate it. And go take the other half and donate it to a homeless family or homeless shelter. Spend more of your money that Trump's not helping you save. Look at those tears. Democrat Congresswoman Alejandra Omar continues to be the investigation of the Department of Justice for fraud and possible connections to Somali billion-dollar COVID relief fraud and theft. Here's the latest. Alejandra Omar had very close ties to the $1 billion welfare scam in the Minnesota Congressional District. It's all being uncovered as I speak. Fact. Omar held parties at one of the key restaurants named in the fraud, knew one of its now convicted owners, and was one of her own staffers has also been convicted, both for stealing millions of dollars from that fund. Fact, Omar introduced the bill in Congress that led to the $250 million in fraud, yet she claims to have been completely unaware of it. The free meals were made possible by the 2020 Meals Act, which was introduced by her and passed with bipartisan support. Fact, people she personally knew were making tens of millions of dollars in this program. And somehow the Congresswoman that only makes $175,000 a year has a net worth that she reported herself, which Congress members have to do every year, of $30 million. Fact, she has been inside this facility where this has all taken place numerous occasions and couldn't put two and two together. Either she's terminally naive or knew and didn't care. Which was it? Fact, around $250 million was handed out by the Minnesota government to provide meals to school children during the pandemic of the 2020 onward, but instead it was pocketed by corrupt business owners associated with her, to include the co-owner of a safari restaurant where Omar held her 2018 congressional victory party. Fact, the owner, Salman Hamad said, was found guilty in August of stealing over $12 million from the 3.9 million phantom meals during the COVID-19 pandemic. He blew much of the money on a $2 million mansion in Minneapolis and $9,000 a month shopping habit at Nordstrom's. Fact, most of the money stolen in Minneapolis was funneled through a now defunct nonprofit, Feeding Our Future. It allowed both nonprofit, for-profit businesses to be reimbursed with taxpayer money for feeding kids by dramatically losing oversight, waiving site inspections, and allowing bulk take-home food with almost no verification. As the scam goes on, Omar appeared on a video at Minneapolis Safari Restaurant to praise the program. Fact, Minnesota Department of Education flagged that organization for irregularities and serious deficiencies, such as incomplete audits. A top aide to Omar, Deputy District Director Ali Lassa, came rushing to their defense in a newly resurfaced video. He spoke out at a gala, praised the vital work of Feeding Our Families, and blasted state agencies for asking too many questions. I'm tied to the MDE thing. How many more do we have to fight against? The top Omar associate, who has now been indicted and directly linked to the fraud, said during the impassioned speech. He also blamed the unwanted attention from authorities on racism and railed the community to stick together. Whistleblowers have claimed the fear of being called a racist meant government officials were reluctant to prosecute the scheme to its full extent early on. When you raise your hand and call into question, you get handed the racism card. David Gather, a former Minnesota legislator who spent 13 years running an adult education center in Minneapolis for Somalian immigrants, told the Post, "You're shamed and put in a corner, especially if you're some mid-level bureaucrat. You're told to take some remedial training and look the other way." A different Omar campaign official, a Democrat activist named Gahid Hassan, said, pleaded guilty in August to running a fake food site called Advocate Youth Athlete Development, where he falsely claimed to serve 5,000 meals a day, yet was just pocketing the $3.2 million out of the food program. Said worked for Omar from 2018 to 2020. Omar, said Seed, frequently attended events together. Numerous Facebook photos apparently shared by Seed show him and Omar, including a sprawling selfie together. This is a clan-based society. Everybody knows everybody else, and it's only open to those folks in that clan. Gather said of the Somali immigrants, others receiving fraudulent money from the charity scam were donors to Omar's campaign. She received 7,400 in direct donations from the now convicted fraudsters. After the scandal broke, Omar returned those donations. In total, 78 people so far have been indicted over the fraud, which also includes bogus claims providing shelter to the homeless people and diagnosing non-autistic children as having a condition and claiming government money for their care. As the extent of the fraud becomes better understood, the state top officials are under the spotlight for not catching it sooner. On Monday, U.S. House Committee and Treasury Department launched investigations to whether Minnesota Governor Tim Walz had a role in the oversight of the scheme, which could have been caught much earlier. Walz commented to say he welcomed the fraud investigation but didn't comment on his inclusion in it. The Somali community have a distrust of norms in our society, like Minnesota's nice. They've conditioned to ripping off the government because that's what's going on in Somalia, he added. Now it's all being exposed. The Congresswoman told KRE 11 News the alleged fraud scheme orchestrated by Feeding Our Future is reprehensible. Using feeding children to funnel millions of dollars towards exaggerated expenses is horrible, and everybody who participated in the scheme must be held accountable, her spokesman said, and she acknowledged no wrongdoing. Isn't that special? Yet somehow, all these people that were part of your campaign, that you did videos with for their organizations, that you're seen in all kinds of pictures with in the organization, you're praising the organization, you were there overseeing part of the operation, and your hands are clean, madam. That's amazing. Well, then this happened.
5th Congressional District, and we called together this press conference in the wake of yesterday's article in the Minnesota Reformer about my opponent, Representative Omar. She paid her husband, Tim Minette, $3 million of campaign money, and the way her time in office has given his business access and credibility as they've misappropriated more than $1 million in money from South Dakota investors. They left workers unpaid and found the funds frozen by the Office of Foreign Assets, control the U.S. Treasury Department in charge of enforcing sanctions. Unfortunately, this story is just the latest scandal in a string of new stories about Representative Omar that narrow the focus on her and bring us further from the type of progress our district and our country needs around issues that affect the lives of our neighbors. Representative Omar has used her 3 terms in Congress, what many would consider the opportunity and honor of a lifetime, to divide our community and enrich herself in the process. Minnesota Reformer reporter Max Nestorag's article mentions at least 3 of the businesses that Tim Minette and his partner Will Haler started. The first was their political consultancy.
Let me stop right there for a second. Tim Minette, he's talking about, that's Alejandro Omar's husband,
which received an unprecedented sum of money from Representative Omar's 2020 race, where she raked in millions of small dollar contributions from across the country during the election cycle. $3 million was spent with E Street, and a large portion of that money went directly back into her own household. After that, Tim Minette and his business partner, Will Haler, started a winery, a decision made when one of their marketing clients apparently offered them grapes in lieu of money. The winery left its workers unpaid and is currently being sued for breach of contract, a bizarre arrangement where they agreed to return an investment of $300,000 with a return of $900,000 just 18 months later.
Isn't that special? Can you say the word fucked? That's Alejandro Mar. The Department of Justice right now is going to go through her and her husband and everything she's connected to since coming to this country with a fine-tooth comb. Not to mention that it's been reported over and over and over again, and even the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, came out last week and said it himself that she's being investigated for marrying her brother to gain citizenship to America. And I asked you this, if that's not true, if her net worth now is $30 million, hell, even if it was only $175,000, which is what she gets paid by Congress, wasn't she lawyered up and sued the shit out of them for defamation of character, slander? Because people in glass houses shouldn't throw rocks. Sounds pretty damn simple to me. At the end of every show, I remind you to join me in saying a prayer for our service members, the military, and law enforcement. Because they're the people that stand in the way of evil that wants to kill us. And here is that evil lifting its ugly head yet again. The Department of the Army has identified the 2 Iowa National Guard soldiers that were killed in Syria. Sergeant Edgar Torres Tovar, 25, of Iowa, and Sergeant William Nathan Howard, 29, of Iowa. They were killed on Saturday while supporting Operation Inherent Resolve. Tovar and Howard were assigned to the 1st Squadron, 113th Cavalry Regiment, 2nd Infantry Combat Brigade, 34th Infantry Division of the Iowa National Guard. An Iowa Police Chief, Jeffrey Bunn, had identified his son, Nate, as one of the U.S. service members who was killed in the attack on Sunday in a Facebook post. My wife, Misty, and I had a visit from Army commanders who you never want to have. Our son, Nate, was one of the soldiers that paid the ultimate sacrifice for all of us to keep us all safer. He loved what he was doing, would be the first in and the last out, no one left behind. Please pray for our soldiers all around this cruel world. We will see you again, son. Until then, we have it from here. Chief Pentagon spokesman Sean Purnell said Saturday that 2 Army soldiers and 1 civilian U.S. interpreter were killed, and 3 were wounded during the attack. The service members have been conducting key leader engagements with local partners in support of ongoing counter-ISIS operations when the attacker opened fire. Pentagon officials said the attack occurred in an area outside the control of interim Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara, and that initial assessment indicated it was likely carried out by ISIS terrorists. Syrian Ministry of Interior said Sunday its forces carried out a security operation in the area conducted with the General Intelligence Agency and international coalition forces that led to the arrest of 5 suspects who were taken into custody for questioning. They believe that they are part of this murder. The Ministry of Interior has confirmed that targeting state institutions will not go unanswered, and that the security apparatus possesses full readiness and high capacity to strike with an iron fist again against anyone who threatens the security and stability of the country and to pursue terrorist organizations wherever they may be found, read in a statement by the government. These American forces, they've helped save lives and babies and mothers by this horrible regime, plus Iran, Russia, and ISIS. So these were our angels. President Donald Trump told reporters on Sunday at the White House that there will be a lot of damage done to the people that did this. They got the person, the individual person, but there will be a big damage done, he said. Syria joined the global coalition to defeat ISIS back in November during Assar's historic visit to the White House, the first official visit by a Syrian president to Washington, D.C. Soldiers, I salute you for your sacrifice to this country. May you rest in peace. May your families find comfort in knowing that you did the right thing. The liberals and liberal Democrats say follow the science, right? How many times have you heard that? Well, how about we do that? A newly released major study reveals while COVID vaccine have and can trigger heart issues, especially when blocking two proteins which reduce heart damage while preserving vaccine benefits, researchers say. One of the most widely known risks linked to the COVID-19 vaccine is myocarditis, especially in young males. And now a new Stanford study has shed some light on why this rare effect can occur. It's inflammation of the heart, basically. Occurs in about 1 in 140,000 people who received the first dose of the vaccine and 1 in 32,000 after the second dose, according to the Stanford press release. Among males 30 and younger, that rises to 1 in 16,750. Symptoms of the condition include chest pain, shortness of breath, fever, and palpitations, which can occur just 1 to 3 days after vaccination. Another marker is heightened levels of cardiac troponin, which indicates the heart muscles has been damaged. In most cases, people who experience this recover quickly and restore full heart function, according to study author Joseph Wu, medical doctor, PhD, and director of Stanford Cardiovascular Institute and professor of medicine and radiology. It's not a heart attack in the traditional sense, he said. There's no blockage of blood vessels as found in most common heart attacks. When symptoms are mild and the inflammation hasn't caused structural damage to the heart, just observe these patients to make sure they recover. In some cases, severe heart inflammation can lead to hospitalization, critical illness, and as we've seen, many people have died. The new Stanford study, conducted in collaboration with the Ohio State University, aimed to determine the reasons for this. The research team analyzed blood samples from vaccinated people, some with this heart condition, some without. They found that those with the heart condition had two proteins in their blood, CXCL10 and IFN gamma, which are released by immune cells. Those proteins then activate more inflammation. We think these two are the major drivers of this heart condition. Your body needs cytokines to ward off virus. It's essential to immune response, but can become toxic in large amounts. In mouse and heart tissue models, high levels of these proteins led to signs of heart irritation similar to those we're seeing in humans. One of the most striking findings was how much we could reduce heart damage in our models by specifically blocking these two issues without shutting down the entire immune response to the vaccine. Noting that a targeted fine-tuning immune approach might be enough to protect the heart. This points to a possible future way to prevent or treat this heart disease in people who are at higher risk, while keeping the benefits of vaccination, he added. The team also found that ginsenosine, an estrogen-like natural compound found in soybeans, reduce inflammation in lab tests, but this has not yet been tested in humans. The research emphasized that COVID-19 vaccines have been heavily scrutinized for safety and have been shown to have excellent safety records, although some of them have been completely removed off the market by every country on planet Earth because they were killing people. The study was founded by the National Institute for Health and the Guter Jensen Foundation. The findings were published in the journal Science Traditional Medicine. You can go to the website and you can learn more. Thousands of normally, perfectly healthy young adults, many athletes, high school and college, and even the NFL, died from those vaccines. Now, I have shared with you all over the years what's happened to this Democrat Party that I used to belong to. And how disgusted I am to know that I once was a proud Democrat, to know what they've become today. Now, not your average neighbor that's a Democrat that just working for a living, trying to put food on the table and raise your kids. I'm talking about the Democrat leadership up in Washington, D.C., the ones that represent the Democrat Party as a whole, the ones that you're voting for if you're a Democrat, without doing your homework and realizing what's coming out of their mouths. And the more we expose today's Democrat leadership, the more people wake up and either become an independent or become a Republican, and they stop voting Democrat. Because the party's been infiltrated by far-left liberal ideology that's just out for total destruction of the American way of life. And it's difficult to get this into the heads of some of these just normal day Democrats. So my approach to it as a former Democrat is to tell them, just listen. Listen. You've got cell phones, computers, iPads, television sets. For crying out loud, bring up the clips, the videos. They're all over social media of Ilhan Omar, of Rashida Tlaib, of AOC, of Jasmine Crockett, of Hankam Jeffries, of Cory Booker, of Chuck Schumer, of Nancy Pelosi, of Maxine Waters. Listen to what they are saying, and you will realize that your values and your beliefs don't align with them anymore because it's changed. They're no longer the party that wants to protect American citizens. They're the party that wants to do crazy fucking scientific experiments on children. They're the party that wants to allow drag queen shows in public libraries and in schools. They're the party that's for open borders and not arresting drug traffickers and gang members and not stopping sex trafficking and drug trafficking. They are a bunch of sick, evil, twisted people up in Washington, D.C. representing the Democrat Party. And this is another example of how sad and sick this is. And I keep sharing this damn near every single show I do in hopes that some out there are going to see it and fact check me and realize that I'm telling you the truth as a former Democrat who my whole family were Democrats. We're Democrat senators and congressmen, even a Democrat governor of my state. Isn't the same party anymore. They don't, your values and your beliefs, if they align with what's coming out of the Democrat mouths in Washington, D.C., then you're a sick bastard too. Because it's just not okay. House Bill H.R. 3492, the Protect Children's Innocent Act, a bill that would criminalize gender-affirming medical care for minors. Minors, not adults that decide, hey, I was born a guy, but I want to be a girl, chop off my shit. And I want to dress up in women's clothing and put makeup on. That's your prerogative as an adult, or vice versa. If you're an adult, you don't give a shit what you do to yourself. We're talking about children, minors, including puberty blockers. So teen-aged children can't go into puberty. Hormone therapy that isn't needed for life-saving issues. And medical surgery to make a boy a girl or a girl child a boy. The bill would make it a felony for any doctor to prescribe these medications and perform these surgeries, as well as hold their parents responsible and charge them with a crime punishable up to 10 years. It was passed. The bill was passed. But by a vote of 216 for it, you ready for this? And 211 against it. It's no surprise that more than 200 House Democrats voted against the bill aimed at criminalizing transgender medical treatment for children. Thankfully, 3 Democrats, Vincent Gonzalez, Democrat Texas, Don Davis, Democrat North Carolina, and Henry Kohler, Democrat Texas, voted with Republicans for the bill. But sadly, 4 Republicans, Mike Kennedy, Republican Utah, Brian Fitzpatrick, Republican Pennsylvania, and Gabe Evans, Republican Colorado, and Mike Lawyer, Republican New York, voted with the Democrats against it. It was widely opposed by most Democrats. 45 House Republicans signed on to formally back the legislation before the vote. And while the majority of Republicans supported it on the House floor, it's unclear if it will be taken up in the GOP-led Senate at all. Transgender issues, particularly related to minors, have been one of the topics driving a wedge between moderate and progressive Democrats. Because like I said, your average Democrat voter out there that's not into politics, that's just like us Republicans and conservatives that are working a job, trying to feed their family, raise their kids, they're against this shit. So they got to pay attention to what their leadership is doing. It's tainting the party. But the severity of the bill's language appears to have turned off a significant number of Democrats in the House. The bill creates new federal crimes that carry up to 10 years in prison for doctors performing transgender affirmative surgery on minors, while also making it a crime to prescribe puberty blockers. Parents or guardians of children under 18 would also be held criminally liable if they consent to or otherwise facilitate transgender treatment for them. The extreme bill puts the threat of prosecution between hundreds of thousands of families and their doctors and would put doctors behind bars for exercising their best medical judgment, said Mike Zamore, National Director of Policy and Government Affairs at the Civil Liberties Union. Passing this bill would be a grave escalation in an already severe effort to not only punish transgender people and push them out of public life, but also allow the state to control our bodies and our lives. Really? Representative Nancy Mace, who argued in favor of the bill on the House floor, said Wednesday that it's obscene, it's disgusting. You see it, in real time, Democrats wanting and defending grooming of children. There's a lie at the heart of the debate we're having today that I have to correct. No child born in the wrong body. There are only two sexes, male and female. There are no others. That's medical, science, biology, facts. To Mike Zamora and the American Civil Liberties Union, sir, minors are not allowed to get elected medical procedures considered cosmetic, such as breast enlargements if they're a girl, genital piercings, or even tattoos. And if someone performs this on a child, or the parent says it's okay, they're going to go to jail. Just like selling to or allowing minors to use tobacco or alcohol, those things are not life or death medical choices by minors or their parent. And sex change operations are not as well. Medical necessity is the key word here. It's not medically needed to take a boy child and convert his body into a female, or vice versa. Once they go through puberty and they become an adult, if they choose to do that, that's their decision and they're allowed to do that. But forcing a minor to do that should be a criminal act. When a minor child's an adult and they decide to alter their sex with medications or surgery, then and only then is it okay. Your statement passing this bill would be a grave escalation of an already severe effort to not only push transgender people out of public life, but also the state to control our bodies and our lives further is an outright lie. You know it's a lie. And so does 99% of the human race on planet Earth. People like you, sir, and those 207 Democrats and 4 Republican members of Congress are a pathetic excuse for public servant, and you're sick and twisted humans. You're subhuman. No one, doctor or parent, should look at their boy child and say, oh, because he would prefer to play with his sister's Barbie instead of the G.I. Joe we gave him, we should have his sex changed and remove his junk. But yet that's what's happening in this world right now. Well, in America. And the Democrat leadership up in Washington, D.C. is all for this. Along with all the other things I mentioned that they're all for. They're claiming that the drug boats from the cartel terrorists are just fishermen. And they're upset that we're taking them out. You know who passed the laws that allowed this to happen that Trump's doing right now? You know who passed those laws? Look it up, liberal Democrats. Joe Biden, when he was a member of Congress. Fact check me on that. Trump's only following a law that allows him to kill them at the source, brought to you by the Democrat Party before they became liberal fucking nut jobs. And that is a fact. Folks, that's been a pleasure to be tonight. Chose to be here with me, and for that, I'm forever grateful. I'll be back next Tuesday. Then we'll be off for Christmas. I hope that you will join us. Again, if you're watching us on the YouTube channel, the Rumble channel, the X channel, please like, subscribe, share it with your family and friends. Also, do not forget, in fact, tomorrow, Friday, is the last day that you can order my new book, Baton Rouge to Baghdad and Back. Here it is. And have it delivered to your house or your family member before Christmas Day on the 25th. It's a great book for any family member that's a U.S. military veteran or that's even active duty today that can, I just, last night we had for our HOA, for our neighborhood, we had a Christmas party, and some of the people that were there have gotten the book and read the book, and one of them said to me last night, he said, man, I was shocked that these kind of things happened back then in the U.S. military, and you guys could get away with the things you got away with, and that the military was complicit in some of these things that you shared in this book, because it was a different world back then. Just like in my time, it was a totally different era than what it was in my father's time when he served in the Korean War and Vietnam. Today, it became a woke military where the things that are in this book, if you did today, you'd be court-martialed and put under the prison. You'd never see the light of day again. All right. So instead of sharing the horrors of war or the 4 combat tours I went through, I decided to do something different and share the funny shit. The things that we did that just were like, I mean, I even think, how the hell did we do this? The fact that we got away with some of it. The fact that the military was complicit in some of it. It's just absolutely crazy. And these are the things that people just don't get to see or don't know about. And instead of sharing about horrors, I wanted to make people laugh. And these are stories that I've been sharing with family and friends for years, that have always laughed and said, that's crazy and that's wild. And, and man, you should put that down in writing someday. And so that's what I did. So Baton Rouge to Baghdad and back. You can find it on at Barnes & Noble, at Walmart, at Amazon. Hell, you just Google Baton Rouge to Baghdad and back, the book, and you'll see all the different retailers, hundreds of them, where you can get the book online. And by most of the retailers like Amazon, and unless you want to pay an extra huge fee, tomorrow's the deadline in order to have the book delivered before Christmas Day. So just so you know. I hope that you'll go out and you'll buy the book and support the cause and what we do. Anything breaks between now and next Tuesday, I'll either do a video about it or come on live. Other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful and blessed evening and a wonderful and blessed weekend. And I will see you back here on Tuesday. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families in our country. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless each and every one of you. Get out there, buy your Christmas presents. Time's running out, and the holidays are upon us like now. Good night, everybody.